Okay, so we're going to have a comp sci quiz on Friday, October 30th or November 3rd, Tuesday. Depends on if you're in the LDZ or ADK group. So for the comp sci quiz, it's not going to be terribly long. It's going to be one page double-sided. So let's just write a little bit about that. So comp sci quiz. So it's only one page. Not a lot of questions. I think there's 6 questions. Okay, so what am I going to ask you about? What am I going to ask you? Well, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is explain a little bit of microbit code. So we did some microbit coding with the rock, paper, scissors radio verified program. We did it for like 2 or 3 weeks. If you haven't looked at it in a while, you can just click through and look at some of your old programs or some of the tutorials if you want to remind yourself, but it shouldn't be too bad. You should be able to clue in to what it is. Now, another thing I want you to do, other than just explaining the code, is write the flowchart. So the flowchart, remember we have those different symbols. We have the ovals for the start and end, the trapezoid for input from the user, the rectangle for a statement, like when we're setting a number, and then we have the diamond for the conditionals, like the if statements, right? So you connect all those, make the little flowchart. Now the next thing, in question 2, oh, no, it's not going full screen. Odd. Let's get that working for me here. For question 2, I want you to write a function for me. So I want you to write a function to draw a certain type of star. It's one we've already drawn, actually. Write a function to draw a star. And you'll see the type of star that I ask you to draw on the page. And this needs to be in Python, right? So you're going to write it in the Python programming language. Now, there's not a lot of different stuff to remember. There's just the, remember the definition statement. You got to have those brackets, whatever the function name is. You indent it, and then you got to do a little loop. So remember to do your for loops, and some forwards and some turns, not too much. Not too much. Now, the third question is something you should be able to answer readily whenever asked, is what are functions for? Like, why do we even use them? How do they help us out? And there's a little diagram, and I ask you for some ideas about the types of functions you might use. The types of functions you might use for this little diagram. Okay, so there's that. That's the first page. The next page is I give you a bunch of Python code, and you have to draw Tracy as she moves. So Tracy the turtle. So draw Tracy's motion, or draw Tracy's path by following the code. So this is you showing me that you understand how the code is executed. There's a grid, and you're going to draw how, like Tracy's going to be over here somewhere, and then she's going to do whatever she does. It's not going to be that complicated. That's just a squiggly line. But you're going to draw how Tracy moves. For some reason, it's not working. Okay. Okay. So, number 5 is error identification. So there is a simple, like 4 lines of Python code. So there's 4 lines of Python code, and within it there's 5 errors. And you need to find the errors for me. You just have to write them in or circle them and explain how you would correct it. So 4 lines of Python, 5 errors. And question 6 is from our first few lessons. So it's a history question about the history of information and computing and computer science and all that stuff. So if you want to get that question, get a good mark on that question, then you got to read your lesson 1 and 2 notes. Lesson 1, I think it's lesson 1 to 3 notes, actually. Yeah. And the whole quiz is out of 28. So when I put all of it together, it'll be out of 28. Now for the quiz, no phones. So put your phones on the side of the room. No computers. You should be able to do this from memory. and no notes. So just sit at your desk, take the quiz, do it, hand it into the slot. No sets, that's not the word. No texts. So don't use any phones, computers, notes, or text, and then just put it in the slot, and then you can work on your CodeHS when done. So when done, CodeHS. Now, try to get your CodeHS. You should be working around 214, 215 right now. If you want to go a little higher, that's fine, but you should definitely be done 213. Okay, so you should be up to there before Student-led conferences on November 4th. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, jbeck@myamlake.ca. Thanks.